Hey, what is going on, guys? It's Brandon Motto here, and today we're going to be working on not the FRS, on the actual bike. So this is you're probably going to see more videos of this than either of these cars in the next quite a few weeks, just because it's cheap to work on, and I only have 2 weeks to get this thing running mint and ready to go to Grand Marais, where we're going to be driving it for the first time in Grand Marais, which I believe there are trails and stuff up there. I've never been up there. Everyone says it's pretty fun though, and everyone's bringing up their dirt bikes and their four-wheelers and all that stuff. Anyways, I want to get this thing running and running right before then, and I want to get a little bit of experience on it beforehand, because I don't think I told you guys this. This is my first ever bike that I'm going to be riding. I had a 400cc bike back when I was 13 or 14. Bought it for 50 bucks. It had a broken connecting rod inside the motor. I was going to rebuild it. Never got around to it. Sold it a week later. That's why I never got around to it. And so I ended up never actually riding that bike. I never got it running. So this is the first bike that I have that runs and drives. And on top of that, when we have it all fixed up and nice and ready to go, it's going to be the first ever bike I drive. So with it being a 250cc, it's kind of big to learn on, in my opinion, because I'm not experienced at all, but at the same time, for the price I paid for it, it was too good of a deal to pass up. I was going to go 125 or lower, just so I could learn. But I mean, I've driven a 50cc bike, which I don't even consider a dirt bike. That's just a toy at that point. But so this is the first ever full-size dirt bike I'm going to be driving. And that 50cc I literally drove for 2 minutes. So I'm not experienced at all. I don't really know how to drive at all. But end of the day, it's pretty much I'm going to just go with it. If I get some bruises, I get some bruises. The only way to learn is to make mistakes. So pretty much what we're going to do today is I'm going to go through and I'm going to try to figure out where exactly this leak is coming from, because I just want to work on it. I want to get it ready to go. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to put in the headlights. I'm going to put in the headlight, the turn signals, and kind of just figure out any missing parts that I have that are miscellaneous that I didn't see. And I'm also really curious as to how this works for what is this, a rear brake? Is that what that is? That must be a rear brake, so that must be the gear shifter on the other side. Funny, because I was just messing with that, and now we're probably in gear, so when I start I gotta be careful. But pretty much I want to go through, I want to figure out where this leak is coming from, where it's actually coming from, because I don't think he told me exactly where it's coming from. He did, but I don't believe him, which is weird. But I'm gonna look around, see if I can find a better leak, or where exactly the leak is coming from, clean up the motor a little bit, and just kind of figure out little things that are missing and kind of get into it. All right, so update on what I found out. First off, I brought in all the lights and things. I want to put those on by the end of the night, along with the rack in the back, assuming that we have all the parts for it anyway, or all the bolts and stuff. But coming up to, this is what I meant in the last video, but I don't know bikes at all, is turns out I can actually drive this. There is brakes. I thought there was no brakes because the handle was broken off. That's just for the front brakes. You don't need those. Yeah, you kind of do need them, but at the same time, you really don't. It has rear brakes, which are the more important ones, because you won't go flying off your bike. So yeah, you're just supposed to push down on the front here, and that's the brakes. I did not know that. Now I know. Good thing I noticed that, because now we can take it out for a rip tonight. It's gonna be my first rip tonight. But the thing is, it has idling issues, and it has to have the choke on all the time. So I'm trying to figure out what exactly is causing that. I'm gonna start with this leak. And he was telling me that the leak was coming from the carburetor. I can confirm that he did not lie to me. Surprisingly, people don't lie all the time. So if you guys look here, I don't know how well you guys are going to be able to see this, but if you look right here, it is actually leaking from this gasket here, which is what he was telling me was the case. So he didn't lie about it. It looks like it's more coming from this backside over here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull this off, and I'm going to replace the gasket with some high temp gasket maker. And we're going to try that out and see how that goes, and see if it helps out at all, because yes, I could replace it with an actual kit, but I don't know if I explained this in the last video. I don't want to replace it with a new kit. I just want to replace the whole carburetor altogether, because you can buy a brand new carburetor straight from Honda for about 60 bucks. And to me, it makes more sense to just buy a whole new carburetor than buy a kit, go through all the work and everything, and it still costs you 30 bucks by the end of it. It just makes more sense to spend twice the money, get a brand new carburetor. You know it's going to work. You know there's going to be no issues with it. So I'm going to buy a new one in the next couple of weeks here. Probably early next week, actually. I'll buy a carburetor and then have that put in before we go to Grand Marais. I'm going to try and put this gasket maker on though, and just kind of temp fix it, and so I can rip it around and kind of get some practice in before we head out, because we only have 2 weeks until I head out. So I want to get this bike running right and get some practice on it before it's too late. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to take that off, we're going to put some gasket maker on it, see if that helps at all, and then if it does, we'll go take it off for a rip. So update, it's just leaking all over the goddamn place. Like, it is everywhere on the carburetor, on the bottom half of the carburetor. So I don't think I'm gonna mess with it, because on top of that, if I were to put gasket maker on it, I would actually have to wait until it seals and it's good to go. So that'd be like 24 to 48 hours. So I'm just gonna clean it up, and we're gonna go take it out for a test rip. And hopefully I don't die, because I've never been on a bike before. So we'll see how it goes. I'm gonna put a helmet on, strap you guys in with a GoPro, see how it goes. Not sure what I'm doing wrong. Okay. What the fuck? Me just not realizing what is wrong with this. Alright, so I found one of the main issues. We're smoking like crazy now out of the tailpipe, but the carburetor was not clamped down all the way. Wow, that got hot really quick. But the carburetor wasn't clamped down all the way, so I went ahead and clamped that down. Now it starts up, but it doesn't idle. So I think I'm gonna mess around with the throttle cable, because I'm assuming it's the throttle cable that's not in the right position, which is causing it to not idle. So I'm gonna take a look at that stuff and see what I can figure out, and then we'll go take it out for a rip. So as you can see, I got the bike idling now, working fine, smoking like crazy. I think it's burning oil, so that's blue as fuck, but I think I'm gonna take it out for a rip, see if it clears out at all, because it hasn't ran in a really long time according to the last guy, so we'll take it out and see how it goes. So blue smoke coming out of the exhaust actually means that the oil's getting past it's oil burning off, I knew that, but apparently it usually happens because the piston rings are bad, and which means the oil's getting past the piston rings. So this thing's gonna need a bottom end rebuild pretty soon. But I'm gonna take it out anyway. I'm still gonna rip it, see how it goes. That is horrible to breathe in. Oh my god, my throat hurts. But yeah, we're gonna take it out and we're gonna rip it anyway and just see how it goes. And if it needs a rebuild, it needs a rebuild. That'll kind of suck, but we'll see what happens. smokes a lot. Ugh. Yeah, I think she's due for some rings. So the battery on the other camera ended up, ended up dying, but I had a bunch of fun taking this bike out. We got back, and this thing needs work. It needs new piston rings for sure. Like it is pretty bad. It smokes really, really bad. So basically my plan for it now, knowing that I need piston rings, is I'm going to use it the way it is for the next couple weeks. I'm going to learn on it and just kind of go at it. I'm not going to like really try it. I'm going to do my best to not beat on it and try to keep it cool and everything, because I want to make sure that it still runs when I do the piston rings. That way there's less work and less chance of the cylinder wall getting all scratched up and unusable. So pretty much I'm going to just keep using it for the next couple of weeks, and then after Grand Marais, or maybe after Power Cruise, I might take it up to Power Cruise, which is the week after Grand Marais. But after one of those 2 weekends, I'm going to take the top end off, which I believe this is the top end from here up. I didn't know that the bottom end is actually part of like the transmission and everything. So that's something I learned while I was doing some research. But I don't really know if that's technically top end, because I mean, that's the head, or if like this entire piece is top end. I don't really know, but either way, I'm gonna order a whole rebuild kit with a Wiseco 75 mil piston, which is apparently 1 mil bored over. So I'm gonna bore it out like a mil, and then do a Wiseco forged piston with a new wrist pin and new rings. And it's gonna be the very first time I ever build a motor on my own. So it'll be good knowledge for me to learn that, especially since I want to build some motors in the future here. It'd be good knowledge to test it out on a bike, which only costs like $120 or something like that to do the full rebuild. And then on top of that, go take it to get machined 1 mil over. So I'm probably like $200-300 to get a bored out 250cc, which would now be bigger. I'm not going to say a number because I honestly don't know how much bigger it would be. But regardless, that's the plan for the bike. Now, knowing that the piston rings are bad, I'm just going to keep using it and keep learning on it, because end of the day, it's still a good deal. You only put like $100 or maybe $200-300 more into it, still sitting at $800, and then maybe another $500 in restoring it and making it look nice and everything. And you know, next thing you know, I got a nice bike for only like $1,200 or so, and I know it's on a fresh motor, which being on a fresh motor gives me the confidence to be able to take it out and not worry about it. So anyway, I only got this thing up to like 30 miles an hour, maybe 25 or something like that, but it was a lot of fun just taking it out in the neighborhood. And I don't really get the chance to do that very often because we're in a pretty strict neighborhood. So we'll see how it goes. And I can't wait to start building this thing, or not really building it, but like rebuilding it and just restoring it. And I think it's going to be a really cool project, and I think it's going to make definitely a lot more videos on the channel now that there's actually issues with it. But yeah, we're pretty much rebuilding the whole motor. We're only leaving the bottom end, like the transmission and crank and connecting rod and all that stuff. All that's being left alone unless something is actually bad with it. But I'm going to go through, just double check everything, redo the top end, and then get a whole new carb, and then probably put a different air filter, like a recleanable air filter on it. And then while I'm in there, I'll go ahead and repaint a bunch of the stuff, make it look really clean. So anyways, instead of me just rambling on, I had a lot of fun. I really hope that it's not as bad as I think it is, and I can still use it for the next couple of weeks. And anyways, I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out. I'm out. See you guys in the next one.
I seen a lot of shit I shouldn't have, but never forgot it though. Brothers on the corner selling crack like it was nada though. Walk inside my kitchen, baking soda all up on the floor. Police banging on the door while gripping the 44. I was just a youngin', but this type of shit I seen before. Y'all see a white boy, but my daddy a Negro. Half-breed motherfucker, grip the mic and he flow. I just wanna spread love, they want me to bleed slow. I just wanna keep the peace.